Well, hello everyone, I welcome you all to a new video. Today we are continuing off in Grisaia. Now let's get right into it, shall we? Would you like to find a blade floating in your direction?
That's not okay. If I ended up eating a bug scatter, I think my throat might get a little scratched.
You ready, Makibo? Once noodles slip past those two, we ain't sparing a single strand, got it?
You betcha, Captain!
After I distribute a pair of chopsticks and a bowl of soup for the noodles to everyone, they take their desired positions around the bamboo gutter. I love the music. It seems like flowing snowman is a rare experience for everyone, not just me.
Well done, Miss Archie. Draw us the first speech, please.
Certainly. In response to Michiru's yell, Sachi releases a few strands of salmon noodles into the waterway. Ah.
There, catch! Tasty. Hey, don't give me that look. Better luck next time, Yumiko.
I'll show you. Hey, Aman. Wait, wrong ways.
Hey, Amane. Might this be a really bad position?
It's fine. Once they start putting a lot in at once, I'm sure some will get past those two. Oops.
Okay, Sachi, round 2, please.
Well then. Yes!
Behold my skill.
Amane and Makina study their empty soup bowls with hollow eyes. Because of the intense battle upstream, none of the noodles have reached their lower position. Alright then, we'll just do this. I set up another gutter that I prepared as a spare at a position below Michiru. Sachi, let's get some in this one as well. Certainly.
Oh, so this is the Japanese direct train, boss?
Thanks, Yuji-kun. No need to thank me. Long time ago I did beaten into me not to waste things I make. Whew. Sorry for all the weird music cutting. I just, keep pausing the recording because I have to kind of. I glanced to my side where Sachi is silently floating salmon noodles down the waterway. At this rate, you're not going to get any, Sachi. Alright, I'll secure her share. Scooping noodles directly from the original container, I deposit them in Sachi's bowl. Thank you very much.
Ah, that's cheating. Why just Sachin?
If that's an option, I want Yuji-kun to feed me directly too. A pair of observant hunters are on me in seconds. All that, if anyone starts taking noodles directly, it's not flowing salmon. If he did this in my room, I'd be up for letting Yuji-kun try some exclusive sexy salmon flying down my body instead of a piece of bamboo. Sexy salmon. Nice ring to it.
Hey, Amane. What the heck are you blurred out all of a sudden?
I think bribery through feminine violence would be the most accurate description.
I can do that too. I'll break.
And all that. I am disgusted. Ew.
Oh, jeez, what is wrong with you two?
Phone. Whoosh. Hey, Komina-san, your hands aren't moving. Oh, I'm sorry. What voice did I do for the principal? I don't know. Her name? What voice? No. Yeah, that could. I was curious why he suddenly told me he'd be skipping class, but flowing salmon on the rooftop, of all things? He thinks in interesting ways, as expected from the sudden transfer student character. Why are you talking like that? I've heard it takes about 3 days to get a cat to take to. The girl named Irisu Makina got attached to me even faster than that. Yes, this is the same Makina who used to flee the instant she laid eyes on me. I have no idea what changed her mind, but lately it's been quite the opposite, with her approaching me on sight. It's hot again today. Yeah, true. Not that she's particularly talkative. After a small greeting, she tends to just tag along in silence. You want something? What's up, dog?
Not really.
I'm doing a different voice once again, bloody hell. Whatever. As speaking, getting floated around for no reason like this is a little annoying. That said, there is no reason for me to coldly shore away either. You don't need to go to afternoon class.
No, I don't have any more elective meeting today.
I see.
Yep.
In other words, she's probably just bored. The schedule at this school is divided between the core curriculum in the morning and optional courses in the afternoon. It's not rare for a few of my classmates to be lazing around by the vending machines after lunch. If you got nothing to do, how about going back to the dorm and studying? It's what I'd like to say, but come to think of it, I'm also wandering around wasting my free fifth period, so I don't exactly have the right to lecture Makina. Want something to drink? I did my hand around in my pocket, searching for a small change. I've got money. Holding out her right palm towards me to look at her, it's fine. Makina takes out something that looks like a green stuffed animal from her pocket. The vaguely frog-shaped thing seems to be a purse, as his thread mouth opens wide with a snap of metal bearings. After taking out a few coins, Makina buys a juice box from one of the vending machines lined up in the passage, then returns to my side. Point the attached straw free with stubby. What was that noise? No. Clumsy looking fingers, Makina pierces into the juice box and starts to slurp up the contents. Similarly, I drink quietly from my paper cup full of oolong tea. Oolong tea? PDLC reference? Ain't no way. Okay, but seriously, oolong tea is a banger. I like it. Yeah, my mic is on. Just the noise suppression was off. I hope you couldn't hear too much background noise. I hope I don't have to record again. I would fucking be angry. I don't have the time for it today. It's hot again today. True. Now we're repeating ourselves. Probable evidence that we're both puzzled over how to get a conversation started. Who was it that told me that the man has to break the ice in a situation like this? Of course, I'm not confident I could pull that off if I tried. What do I talk about with a girl like Makina? Hey, Oni-chan. Got any good stories? Stories? Stories. It's a fairly standard request, but I'm not sure where to go with this. What sort of story? It's hot, so a nice and cool hot story. A cool story? That's a bit tricky. When you're looking for a thrilling tale, I think ghost stories are the standard choice. Fortunately, I'm not lucky in that department. A legacy of the time I spent at my old school. Alright then. This is something I heard from an upperclassman at my previous school. This is the story of an American soldier who found himself on a southern island in a night flooded with lukewarm rain. The soldier was making his way south through the darkened jungle amid the pelting downpour, following a native trail with 8 companions. Their objective was an enemy anti-aircraft position. The rain had been falling for 2 days straight, leaving the ground swampy as a paddy field, with the moon hidden by thick storm clouds. The soldiers couldn't even see the back of the comrade walking 30 meters ahead. The squad's nerves were already worn by the suggestive darkness of the night jungle, but the relentless rain piercing through the tree canopy was slowly sapping their endurance as well. On top of it all, the rough map they received from the scouts was vague to the point of uselessness. Good for little, but further fueling their anxiety. As the squad trudged on at a vertical crawl throughout the knee-deep mud, I cannot speak, it was inevitable that their formation grew increasingly loose. So, the American soldier, a sniper bringing up the rear of the column, was desperately struggling to avoid getting separated from the rest of his unit. Eventually, he heard a distinctive clacking from some distance in front of him, rising above the sound of the rain. He recognized the sound as the castanets, the platoon leader carried as a means to communicate at night, or in poor visibility conditions where hand signals were impractical. The number of times he clacked indicated an order to halt on the spot. The man dropped to one knee in the muddy water, raised his rifle to his breast, and removed the landscape from his scope, shielding it from the rain. An enemy ambush. Lying flat on the spot, the man pressed his strong eye against the gun sight. The back of the soldier in front of him came into view. No shots had been fired as of yet. Earlier reconnaissance had indicated there were badly enemy troops or armed guerrillas in this area. If there were enemies here, the odds were that they would be scouts, and most likely a fairly small group. As the man rested his chin in the muddy water. Gunfire, yeah. To watch the jungle ahead, he heard the first sounds of gunfire. The enemy wasn't even 30 meters away from his squad. They practically bumped into each other. 6 lines of fire from the enemy position, just as he thought. It seemed to be a small scouting group. Judging from the reckless way they opened fire blindly, they were probably partly trained guerrillas who panicked after encountering their enemy under these unusual conditions. Removing his gaze from the scope, the man grasped his weapon and pulled back on the bolt handle, pushing a 7.62mm bullet into the exposed chamber. He quickly returned his dominant eye to the eye cup of his sight. The muzzle flashes visible through the scope, but burned white after images onto his pupil. Fully dilated after his long walk in the darkness. He couldn't see the enemy. Aiming on intuition, he squeezed the trigger. A momentary explosion of light from his gun, and he heard an enemy's grunt from the bush some 30 meters away. A hit. Uh. The man took his rifle in both hands and began to crawl on his elbows and knees in search of a new firing position. After moving about 10 meters to his left, he discovered a convenient foxhole that would serve his purpose nicely. When he swung his body down into the hole, he found it was half full of stagnant water, just as he expected, but that fact badly registered in his mind. More importantly, from a position like this, he could snipe well hidden for a time. Sunk to the waist in the muddy water, he mechanically pulled back his rifle bolt and squeezed the trigger. Again, and again, and again. All of a sudden, he heard a voice from the next foxhole, since when had it been occupied? Hey, give me a grenade! In response, the man took a M67 grenade from the belt slung around his waist and held it out, the safety pin still fixed in place. A white hand reached out from a nearby trench and received it. Thank you. The man was certain he heard those words, but no matter how long the man waited, his comrade didn't throw the grenade. Maybe the safety pin was bent, somehow he couldn't get it loose. Hey, okay. As the man was speaking those words, he started to move his head to look about the edge of his encampment. At that moment, the grenade exploded in the next foxhole. Explosion at point blank ranges in something you hear. The overpowering waves of sound are unrecognized by your ears as noise. A massive burning air struck the man like a wall, knocking the helmet of his head and thrusting his body backward into the muddy pool. His mouth, thrown open by the explosion, was instantly filled with filthy water. As the man desperately tried to spit it out, he realized his tongue had been knocked back into his throat. He couldn't breathe. Quickly thrusting his hand into his mouth, the man peeled his tongue free with his fingers and powerfully vomited out the water with the breath that he had gathered in his lungs. His throat was burning from inhaling the explosion's scorching wind, and he couldn't stop the tears that were pouring down his face. His head felt like it had taken a direct hit from a fast bolt made of concrete, and his ears were filled with accident. Accident. How do I do? History? No. No. Tab? Yes. His head felt like he'd taken a direct hit from a fast bolt made of concrete, and his ears were filled with a high-pitched rain. Hey, you alright? Get it together! Curled up in the muddy water with his head in his hands, the man heard the voice of a comrade. Motherfucker, it was hidden. At least his eardrums hadn't shattered. He felt himself being dragged out of the foxhole by both arms. We got to move! Temporary withdrawal! Can you walk? It took all of the man's effort to nod his head. He couldn't see. His ears were barely functional, and his throat was on fire. He couldn't even speak. The man began to run his hand across the ground in panic. His comrade knew what he was looking for. The man felt his rifle pressed back into his hands. Reassured by the familiar feel of his weapon, the man slung it onto his shoulder. His hands still clutching the ground, he flattened that base at a claw. I cannot speak. Had 30 minutes passed when the man came to himself. The rain had, ironically enough, finally stopped. His vision had largely recovered. When he looked around, he saw his companions, all just as filthy with mud. Hey, Shorty, you still alive? The sniper was still scurrying along the ground. Stop it. Instagram. The sniper was still scurrying along the ground when that voice called him. It belonged to a black man who joined the army at the same time as him. They'd been in the same squad in their training days as well, and the black man was his closest friend in the platoon. His greeting was casual as always. Give me a break. The man re-shouldered his beloved rifle and told his friend about the hand grenade accident. The voice from the next foxhole, the grenade he handed over in response, months later, the explosion. The man angrily spit out the details of his brush with death through another stupidity. The black man listened in silence. When the story was over, after a brief pause, he finally spoke. Huh? The hell are you talking about, Shorty? The black man said his story was impossible. Can't you think of it? Of course it was. The man was the unit's birdman, the rear guard, the end of the line. Usually the birdman marched 10 to 20 meters behind the squad. There was no one alive would have been encamped only 2 or 3 meters from his position. Even considering his movements to change his fighting position, he couldn't have met anyone until the unit broke into a retreat. I mean, let's say you're right and some jackass dropped a grenade in his own foxhole. Okay, who was that? When the man looked around his surroundings, all 8 of the squad's other members were accounted for. A few were lightly wounded, but clearly none of them had been on the receiving end of a grenade blast recently. So, who the hell did you give that grenade to? In response to his friend's words, a shiver ran down the man's spine. After joining the main force and completing his report, the man told his story to a grizzled veteran. The sergeant major had an explanation of sorts for him. That place is right around the site of an old battle where many Americans died. Among them were many wounded who'd been cruelly, slowly butchered by guerrillas with spears and bayonets, and some had reached their grenades on their waist and pulled out the pin rather than be tortured to death. So in the end, who had taken the man's grenade? Perhaps a lingering spirit, still clinging to the battlefield even in death? Or so the story went. What do you think? Get a bit of a chill? What the hell's wrong with you? I beat myself a little bit. Oh, sorry about that. Forget it. As if I could. I'm gonna cry on the way to the bathroom tonight. My bad. Next time you tell me a story, make it the slightly hyper one, okay? Huh? Yeah, got it. Makina throws her empty juice box into a trash can and starts to patter away. As usual, she leaves as quickly as she arrives. But this time, after walking about 3 meters, Makina stops on the spot and turns back to me. Hey, Oni-chan? What? Do you think there is life after death? Life after death? Can't say for sure since I've never experienced it firsthand. If you believe in it, then maybe there is. In the army, there is a popular story about an afterlife, exclusively for soldiers. It's a story you'll find in the armed forces of pretty much any country, and in pretty much identical form. If you believe an afterlife is waiting for you, it will be. I'm sure it's something like that. Gotcha. Thanks. Okay, see you later. With those words, she runs off, this time without looking back. I don't think I said anything particularly interesting, but... hearing words of things naturally lightens my mood anyway. Drink up the remaining oolong tea with a gulp, I throw the empty cup in a trash bin and walk off towards our classroom for a 6-period class. There is a subspecies of woman distinguished by an excessive kind of helpfulness, the burning desire to take care of other people's problems. Within a few days of entering this school, I had a rough idea that so Amane fit this busybody woman classification, but I have to admit, I wasn't expecting her to extend her meddling to me quite so quickly. Although I suppose it's inevitable that we run into each other a lot since we live in the same dorm, it seems like she's coming up to me at every free moment and playing the big sister. You having trouble with anything? If you need any help at all, just let me know, okay? If she'd put herself in my shoes, it's not easy having to politely shoot her down every time. Yuji-kun! Not wasting any time, are you? I'm not sure how she got the idea in her head, but lately every time a break begins, Amane's been clinging to me from behind. Then forcefully pressing her oversized lumps of breast blubber against me, as if to say, check it out, I'm the big tits character. The way they droop just a little is very popular with the enthusiastic. Look, you're heavy. Remove your chest flap from my head. Huh? What's that supposed to mean, Yuji-kun? Do you hate breasts? On the contrary, I'm something of a fan. Then it's all good, just sit back and enjoy it. These tits would drive any red-blooded man wild. Keep acting like that and you'll get a reputation as a homo. You want dirty old men with beards to start hitting on you? I'd prefer that. If a man hits on me, I can hit on him with my fists. What do you want from me? If you have something to say, then spit it out already. It's nothing in particular. Just wondering if there was anything you didn't follow in the class or whatever. Just wanted to play the big sister a bit. Thanks, sis. But I'm a big boy now, so could you please get lost? You're just shy. That's so cute. Squeeze. Stop that. I'm a dainty little thing. I'll break more easily than you'd think. Precisely why I'm giving such a nice gentle hug. They say a snapping turtle won't release its prey from its bite, even if lightning strikes nearby. Amane is a similar beast. Once she clings to me, my only release is the sound of the bell. If this woman kept a pet cat, I'm positive it would go bald from stress within a week. I'm not confident my own head will be safe if I allow these assaults to continue. I think it's about time I get my message across, even if it requires taking a somewhat harsh attitude. Amane did so enough. Just as I begin to shout, Sakaki appears with spectacular timing. So-san, do you have a moment? Hey! Yumiko grimaces Amane's response. Her glare is expressive. Hey, who are you supposed to be? Well, alright then. You're supposed to prepare the projector for the upcoming geometry. I'm sorry, I'm going bloody insane. Anyway. Geography class, remember? Oh, you're right. I'm on date you did with Makina today. Irisu-san, started preparing by yourself. Do you not plan to help? Sorry, Yuji-kun, I gotta go. Don't mind me. I think you should hurry before Irisu-san breaks something again. Makina, wait, don't break it! Finally released me. What a noisy woman. She's purposely making a fuss. Is she that afraid of people realizing she's depressive? What do you mean? Exactly what I said. Even so, I find this preferable to the old Suo-san's incredibly timid behavior, so I've already accepted it as the lesser of two evils. You make it sound like you're familiar with her past. Have you known Amane that long? Well, we'll learn about Suo-san's past later. I'll see you later, lads. Bye-bye.